All right. Ashhadu
أشهد
an
أن
la ilaha
لا إله
illallah
إلا الله
wa ashhadu
وأشهد
anna
أن
Muhammadan
محمدا
abduhu
عبده
wa rasuluh.
ورسوله.
I bear witness
I bear witness
that there is no deity
that there is no deity
worthy of worship
worthy of worship
except Allah,
except Allah,
and that Muhammad
and that Muhammad,
is his final messenger
that is Muhammad, is the final messenger
and slave.
and slave. Thank you.
All right, so the first question that we have here is how much is fidya? So here at Al-Hijrah we have set it to $13. The actual fidya is paying 1 meal per day to a poor person for every fast. So this is the asl fidya. If I am unable to fast, either due to terminal illness or age or other reasons, then what I can do is to make up for the days that I cannot fast, then I would pay 1 meal per day to somebody who is poor. And here at Al-Hijrah we have set that to be $13. Do we say Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un for Muslims only, or should we say it any person who dies regardless of faith? Essentially what this is saying that everybody returns to Allah, and that didn't like the answer? Okay. Essentially everybody returns to Allah, so saying it for a Muslim or non-Muslim, the same would apply. Can you actually clarify the concept of 4 wives in Islam, and why is that allowed? So Islam didn't invent this idea of having multiple wives. This is something that is a pre-Islamic idea. So there are a number of ideas like war, marriage, slavery. These are all pre-Islamic concepts. Islam didn't invent any of these things. So what did Islam come to do? It actually came to deal with existing real-world problems, how to manage them, how to channel them, how to remove the excess dhulm and the excess oppression that is within those systems. And one of those things is that before Islam, should I wait? Okay, Jazakallah khair. So before Islam, what happened is that there was no limitation on any of these things. And it's not just having multiple wives that was before Islam. There was no inheritance rights, there were no ownership rights. Right? There are a number of problems and a number of issues that were involved in this. So what happened was that Islam actually came to limit the number of wives. It gave them inheritance rights, it gave them ownership rights. And not just that, one of the things that even the West, it prides itself on is that all of their relationships are based on consent, right? There has to be agreement from both sides. And even in Islam, nobody can force a woman or a man into marriage. Even Imam Malik has very famous stance that he took against the Khalifa of his time, where he said, "Salat al-nikah jabr it's not valid." So anybody who is forced into a marriage is not considered valid, as long as a man is going into the marriage and he's making clear what his intention is, that he is marrying or he's been married previously. If a woman decides to voluntarily involve herself into that wedding and the wali agrees, then this is something, again, it is between them. It's an agreement between two parties. Just like if I buy and sell, I don't need to report every sale that I make. If I'm selling you a car or if I'm selling you a phone, it's the same thing with these personal transactions when it has to do with marriage. Is it something that I recommend? No, I don't. It's very problematic in a legal sense. Number one, it's illegal, obviously in the United States. The second problem is I see there are very, very few men who have been able to do it successfully or able to do it justly. I've seen a number of abuses in these cases because the marriage is not legal. There's no legal recourse for the woman if the man decides to abandon her. And there are a number of, like I've dealt with in the past year and a half, I've dealt about 7 cases where the wife has been abandoned. And there's nothing, and because they don't have any legal documentation, there's nothing I can do to help them. So this is one of the reasons that I highly discourage it. Even in the Hanbali madhab, it is recommended to only have one wife. My parents won't let me get married to this girl because of our tribe. She is from one tribe and so am I, but she's from a different tribe in our country. What should I do? Am I sinful for marrying her? This is a question I do get a lot, this requires like an individual consultation between that brother and between the family. So what happens is when you have a cross-cultural marriage, the problem isn't usually with the children because both of the children are usually American, right? They've been born and raised here, so they have very little connection back to the to the tribal or to the culture, back to whatever the country it is that they're migrating from. The only thing that I recommend such couples is when they have this obstacle, they have this issue, make sure that you have as many cards stacked in your favor as possible. So if I'm going and proposing to this girl or I'm speaking to the parents, make sure I have a job, make sure I have a place where I can show that I can support her, make sure that I have all of the tools necessary that, okay, the only reason they can reject me is because of my tribe, right? That we have to make sure that I put all of those steps in place. Like, and when I don't mean that we need to be rich when we get married, but I need to be financially independent. Can I afford an apartment? Can I afford my own car? Can I pay for her health insurance, right? These are very important questions that I need to make sure I can answer, because he can come to me and in his heart, he can not want to marry me because of my tribe, but if I can't afford to pay her health insurance, who would want to send their daughter to a place where they know that their daughter can get sick and there's no treatment for her? Or if she breaks an arm, there's no treatment for her. Or there's no way for her to, continue on in a healthy life when I'm already giving her that as a father. So we have to make sure that we try to stack as many of our cards in our favor as possible before getting into that. And not just that, at the end of the day, is it possible that the father or the mother still rejects? Yes, it is. Then the question the couple needs to ask, so these potential couple, the question they want to ask is, do I want to raise my children without their grandparents? And this is not an easy question, and it's not a question that I can answer for anyone. Unfortunately, there's no right or wrong answer because every case is going to be individual. And many times what happens is that you'll have the father or the mother, they will cut off the parent, they will cut off their child, and then they will not have access to their grandchildren. So the question the couple needs to ask, is this relationship worth the relationship with my parents? I'm not justifying what the parents are doing. Please don't misunderstand me. It's not correct just to cut off someone or to bias against someone just because they're from a different place or they're from a different culture. But if I as a parent am willing to take that step, and is there accountability in front of Allah? Absolutely. And is there accountability maybe for breaking that relationship? It really depends. It really depends. But I hopefully and I sincerely request to the parents, open your hearts a little bit and try to see and make sure that what are the things that we're looking for. Many times when we look for compatibility, the problem is that when we look for a potential daughter-in-law or a potential son-in-law, I think that would she have been a good wife for me, or would he have been a good husband for me? But they're not marrying me, right? They're marrying my son or they're marrying my daughter, and that's the compatibility that we need to seek. So I think the parents, they need to open their hearts a little bit, and I think the children, they need to be a little bit more sympathetic and understanding to their parents. Like there has to be some kind of middle ground that are there. How do we know which scholars to listen and to follow? I mean, be sincere. Be sincere. That's the only advice I can give you. There's going to be so many people. There's going to be so many people who we can listen to. The internet is full of all kinds of people and all kinds of things. If I start seeing red flags from someone, me as like a lay person, if I start seeing like somebody is saying things that doesn't sound normal, it doesn't sound like what I'm hearing from everyone else, then that is a red flag for me, and I should probably avoid listening to that person. But in general, if I'm being sincere and I'm listening to this person, the easiest criteria I can put forward for anyone is if this person who is speaking, if we find that this person in general, he is encouraging us to connect our ties. He's encouraging us to have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's encouraging communities to stay together. He's not backbiting anyone. He's not talking about anyone. Then this person is probably on the right path, because this is the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, if we have someone who's up there, all he does is he talks about other people, he puts down other people, he tries to to break communities, he encourages people to have secret gatherings in other places. This kind of disturbance that this individual is causing within whatever community, this is anti-prophetic. This is not what the Prophet ﷺ did. This is not how he dealt with his companions. And even the ones who did this, the only ones who separated, the ones who had secret meetings, the ones who broke off, the ones who made fun of other people, these people were the munafiqeen. So this is something for us to think about, that these characteristics of making fun of others, of putting down others, of having secret meetings, these are all the characteristics of the hypocrites. These are the characteristics of the munafiqeen. As for the one who brings people together, then this is the characteristic of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I remember my cousin, she had said to me one time, okay, well, the one who makes everything halal, he's the one that brings people together. I said, I disagree. I said, the one who makes everything halal, I said, even you're criticizing him. Right? Even you have a problem with them. So it's clear that the people who make everything halal, people don't agree because they don't feel comfortable with that. And they themselves will say, oh, he just makes everything halal. And the ones who make everything haram, the people aren't comfortable with that either. Why? Because both of these are extremes. And we as Muslims, we as human beings, we don't like extremism. We don't. It doesn't sit well in our hearts. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at the end of the day, He has given us this compass in our hearts. Even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Istafti qalbak walau aftak an-nas." He said, ask your heart, even if people give you fatwa. So you'll have multiple people talking to you. And it's a very similar situation to this. We have a number of people who are talking, a number of different speakers. I need to go back and I need to seek in my heart, am I asking the right questions? Am I being sincere in what it is that I'm doing? Who is it, these people who I'm listening to, are they encouraging me to build the relationships with the people behind me? Are they encouraging me to be a better son? Are they encouraging me to be a better daughter? Are they encouraging me to be a better member of society? Are they encouraging me to participate more in the masjid that I'm in the community that I'm in? Or is it encouraging me to look down at everybody around me? I am the one who's right, all of you are wrong. I am the one who's sitting above everyone. I am the one who makes the decisions. This person, he's this. This person, he doesn't act like a Muslim. This person is a munafiq. And then they start naming names. Is this how the Prophet ﷺ dealt with his jama'ah? This is anti-prophetic. So, like I said, a very easy guide, at least for me, is seeing someone who's talking about the Quran, talking about the Sunnah, talking about building relationships. This is very clear that this person, inshallah, is upon the truth. And the one, he might use the Quran and the Sunnah, but if he's using it to differentiate between people, to backbite people, to ridicule people, to make fun of people, to separate from people, then this is the way of the munafiqeen. This is not the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nor is it the way of the Muslims. Wallahu a'lam wa sallallahu ala khayri khalqin, nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi sahbihi wa sallam. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله